So now we are going to learn tissues. Multicellular organisms are made up of millions of cells. Cells shows the division of labor and each cell performs a particular function very efficiently. Such cells are grouped together and it is called as a tissue. So tissue, it is a group of cells that are similar in the structure and origin and comes from the same parent cell and performs a similar function. In case of histology of the tissues, the group of cells are known as a tissues, group of tissues are known as a organs, and group of organ is known as a organ system. These organ systems helps to create a complete human body. Now, what is the utility of tissues in multicellular organisms? Multicellular organisms have millions of cells. Each group of cell is called as a tissue and it performs a specific function very efficiently. For example, muscle cells, nerve cells, and blood. Muscle cells contract and relax to bring a movement, whereas nerve cells carry the messages. These all are tissues. In plants, vascular tissues, for example, xylem and phloem, they conduct the water and food from one part of the plant to another part. So, multicellular organisms show division of labor. Now, we will see whether the plant and animals are made up with the same tissues. Animal tissues, since animals are mobile, so they require more energy, hence more living tissues are required. Whereas in case of plant tissues, plants are stationary, they cannot move from one place to another place, so they do not require much energy, hence more living tissues are not required. Animal moves from one place to another place in search of food and shelter, hence they need more energy and their more tissues are living. In plants, most of the tissues provide the structural strength. Most of the tissues are dead, which can provide the mechanical strength as easy as they living ones and need less maintenance. Cell growth is uniformly distributed in the animal tissues, whereas in plant tissues growth is limited to certain region. Structural organization of organ and organ system is more specialized and complex in case of animal tissues, whereas in case of plant tissues, structural organization of organ is comparatively less complex. Due to difference in structure and function of plants and animals, they are made up of different types of tissues. Now let us see different plant tissues. So here you can see that there are two main types of plant tissues, that is meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues are the tissues which are capable of cell division. These are young tissues. Continuously growing, continuous cell division takes place inside meristematic tissues. Whereas in case of permanent tissues, mature cells are incapable of cell division. It includes simple permanent tissues and complex permanent tissues. Simple permanent tissues, these tissues composed of single type of cells, whereas complex permanent tissues composed of more than one type of cell. The example of simple permanent tissue are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Chlorenchyma is a combination of parenchyma and collenchyma. Whereas the examples of complex permanent tissues are xylem and phloem. Xylem includes xylem vessels, tracheids, whereas phloem includes sieve tubes and companion cells. Now let us have a look on meristematic tissues or meristem. Meristematic tissues have the power to divide to form a new cell. They can increase in the length and width of the plant also get increased because of meristematic tissues. They found in the growing areas of the plants. New cells are new cells that are produced by meristematic tissues or cells are very similar or exactly similar to the previous meristematic tissues, but as they grow their characteristics changes and they differentiate. The characteristics associated with the meristematic tissues are cells are active, they are living, they have dense cytoplasm, thin cellulose wall, prominent nuclei, and they lack vacuoles, as vacuoles provide the rigidity to the cell and prevent the quick cell division. Cell needs a dense cytoplasm and soft cell wall for the cell division. Now, in case of types of meristematic tissues, there are apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. The location of apical meristem is the growing tips of shoot, that is shoot apex meristem, and growing tips of roots also, that is root apex meristem. Whereas the function is to increase in length, height of the plant. That means the primary growth is a main function of apical meristematic tissue. Next is the intercalary meristem. They are present at the base of leaves or internodes. The function of intercalary meristematic tissue is to increase in length of organ like leaves and internodes. And lastly, it is lateral meristem, which found in the woody trees and plants. One side of the meristem roots two types, that is cork cambium, which found beneath the bark, and vascular cambium, which found in vascular bundle. It helps in increasing the diameter and girth. So, the lateral meristem is responsible for secondary growth in the plants. So, here you can see the diagram of meristematic tissues also. You can see in the tip apical meristem is present. In nodal area there is a intercalary meristematic tissues are present, and at the base lateral meristematic tissues are present. Then in case of permanent tissues, these tissues comes from meristematic tissues, and these are mature meristematic tissues. Permanent tissues made up of dead cells that have lost the power to divide. They have definite shape, size and function also, and may be dead or living. The process by which cells arise from meristematic tissue and take up a permanent shape, size and function is known as a process of differentiation. So, here you can see permanent tissues are of two types, that is simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue include parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma, and complex permanent tissue include xylem and phloem. Now we will see the difference between parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma on the basis of character, function and location. The basic and most simple packaging tissue that fills the spaces between other tissues and is found most abundant in the plant is a parenchyma. Whereas in collenchyma, cells are living, elongated, irregularly thickened living, elongated and irregularly thick at the corners, and they are made up of cellulose or pectin in case of collenchyma. Parenchyma, the cells has unspecialized or undifferentiated cells with the thin wall made up of cellulose. Whereas in case of sclerenchyma, the long, narrow, thick walled cells are present in sclerenchyma due to the deposition of lignin. Lignin is a chemical substance which acts as a cementing material and harden them. Such cell walls are called as a lignified cell walls. They have a pits also. Parenchyma have a larger intercellular spaces as the cells are loosely packed, whereas collenchyma have a very less or no intercellular spaces. Sclerenchyma also don't have any kind of intercellular spaces due to heavy lignin deposition. Parenchymatous cells have nucleus, dense cytoplasm and large nucleus, whereas collenchyma have nucleus, dense cytoplasm and large vacuoles. In case of sclerenchyma, cells do not have nucleus and cytoplasm. Parenchyma provide the support to the plant, and parenchyma of stem and roots stores nutrients and water is called as a storage parenchyma, whereas collenchyma provide the flexibility and mechanical support to the aerial parts of the plants. Sclerenchyma gives the rigidity and strength to the plants. Parenchyma present or found in non-woody or soft parts of the root, stem, leaves, flowers and fruits, whereas collenchyma found in leaf stalks below epidermis of leaves and stem. Sclerenchyma found in stem, around vascular bundles, in the veins of leaves,